Hi folks, Christy, your flute coach here with another quick but amazing tutorial. I want you to take a minute right now, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of my videos. Now today I'm going to take you through some examples of different articulation patterns that are commonly used in flute music. I'll play them so you can hear the differences between them and talk you through a couple of ways that you'll be able to practice them yourselves. Now, articulation in music refers to the playing method used to transition between notes while we are playing. Generally speaking, these transitions can either be smooth and continuous where the notes melt into one another, or the notes can be quite distinct and separated. Now, just like when you're speaking, you emphasize different words, and articulation has a very similar effect in helping to communicate the story or the mood behind music. We can use a technique called tonguing to disrupt the continuous stream of air that we blow into the flute, and this creates separation of the note sounds from one another. So making the sound of the letter T is the easiest way to do this. If you make this sound T, 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 you'll notice that your tongue flicks behind the teeth and disrupts that flow of air as you're breathing out. So if you make the sound T, while you change your fingering positions to the next note that you'll be playing, it will have the effect that the two notes have some separation between them. They sound like two distinct notes. So for very detached or short notes, such as the staccato, which is that note with a little dot above it or below it, we can go even further and we can briefly even cut off the flow of air whilst tonguing the note, and that will make the separation even more pronounced. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, playing the notes slurred or legato means that there's no movement of the tongue to separate the notes this time. So we blow air continuously into the flute, and it's the fingers that do all the work in moving from one note to the next. So there is no separation between the notes there. We do have to be careful that any finger changes that we make are really clean and coordinated. So if you're moving more than one finger at a time, any slow fingers can result in little blips or halfway notes appearing accidentally. And because there's no separation, you're still blowing air, they'll make a note, they'll make a noise, and they just end up making the music sound really messy. Now, one of the best ways to practice different articulation patterns is using our flute scales, and that's what I'll be doing today with you with the F major scale. If you're going on to do flute examinations, you'll be specifically tested on your ability to play with different articulation patterns. And you guessed it, this is when they ask you to play your scales. Now, the examiner will ask you to play a scale within a given set, and then they'll combine it with an articulation pattern, essentially at random. So you do need to come in prepared. Now, practicing these articulation patterns with your scales will mean that you'll be able to transfer them so much easier when it comes to playing your pieces. They'll be really familiar to you and they'll be second nature. You'll recognize them. And you won't get so tripped up thinking, oh, slurring, okay, I've got to use my tongue here. It'll come really naturally. So we're going to give it a go together, and we're going to start simple and work our way up to increasingly more complex patterns together. So I want to take you through some examples of articulation that you use the tonguing technique for. So number one, we're going to tongue all the notes. So we're going to go t, 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 as we play each of our notes and move our fingers to the next position. Let's give it a go. So that's tonguing the notes, and I am stopping the flow of air between those notes just slightly so you can hear that emphasis and separation. If I was to blow air continuously but to tongue the notes, there would be very little separation at all between the notes, and this is called playing tenuto, which means to sustain the note. So we're playing the note to its fullest length. So let's give that a go, and you'll be able to hear the difference here. So I'm going to continuously blow air, tongue each note change with the t, t, t sound and move my fingers at the same time. So let's give that a go. So the notes still have that little bit of separation. They're not slurred and smooth, but they are longer and they're taking up their full allotted beat. The next example is marcato or accented, where we strike the note with the arrow sign, which can be above or below the music staff, with a little bit more emphasis. We do have to be careful though not to overblow the note, because we might accidentally jump an octave, but we do need it to stand out from the other notes around it. So let's give it a go. We give it a little kick, a little puff of air in a sense as you're tonguing the notes. So all of the notes in this example are tongued, but we're going to add a little bit of extra emphasis on those two notes with the arrows above and below them. So let's give that a go together. I actually overblew that a little bit. Let's try again. The next you'll find is the staccato, and this type of articulation is very short and detached, so we cut off the notes somewhat with our tongue and our breath, cutting off our breath in between the notes. So these staccato notes are represented by a dot either above or below the note. We cut off that sound with our tongue. Let's try again. Very short and detached from one another. So now we're going to go to the other end of the spectrum where I'll play legato or slurred. And there's no separation between the notes at all. So with the tenuto, you might remember I was blowing a continuous stream of air, but I was going t, t, t for each of the notes. So now I'm going to blow a continuous stream of air, but leave the tonguing out. And they should be all smooth and connected. Can you hear the difference there? No separation between the notes. The fingers are doing all the work for us. Now a curved line above or below the music shows us which notes should be smoothly connected within a slur. So to add a little bit more complexity, you might find that you need to play a passage of music that combines both tonguing and slurring. So here's an example of 2 slurred and 2 tongued. I'll play again. So you connect the 2 notes that have the slur bracket above or below, and then tongue with a t, t, the notes in between. So da, 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 da. We could slur in pairs, where we're tonguing just every, the first note of every pair. So da, 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 da. You could have another combination such as 3 slurred, 1 staccato. Really the sky's the limit. There's an unlimited, almost infinite number of articulation patterns that you could come across in your music. So let's give this one a go. So I'm hoping that you're starting to hear the differences between those different articulation patterns now. Now that was not an exhaustive list, of course, of different articulations, but they're some of the common ones that you'll come across as you are a beginner player. I hope this has helped you begin to incorporate them into your playing. Don't forget, give them a go with your scales. And I found as I was preparing for an examination, I would write the names of the scales on slips of paper and tear them up and put them in a hat. And then in a separate hat, I would write the different articulation patterns, tear them up, separate them, and put them in the hat. And I would draw out a scale and draw out an articulation pattern at random, and that way I went into my exam totally prepared. I could be asked any combination of scales or articulations, so that might be a way that helps you to master these different patterns as well. So don't forget, once again, subscribe to me and my channel on YouTube so you don't miss out on any more videos. Check me out on Facebook, The Flute Coach, as well as my website www.theflutecoach.com, which has heaps of articles and other free learning resources for you. Thanks guys, bye for now.